Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Beth. I appreciate that. We're going to dive in here on this Thursday afternoon. So thank you so much. Everyone on this call is a client of Syscon. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us. Each of you are using our hosted exchange service. You've been seeing articles and things coming through, and I sent you a nice little letter about this, and I appreciate you taking the time today to jump on. I will keep this to half an hour tops. I'm going to open up for Q&A at the end. So totally make myself available for that. And I'm just going to walk through some of the slides with you, and then we can talk about anything that's on your mind with regard to this topic then, okay? So let me just dive in. All right. So as you can tell by our little grade marker, we started this service in 2012. So just coming up on 10 years here. So I can get this to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off the video so that it doesn't take up any room on your screen and you can read the pieces that are going to be here. So I'm going to turn this off. Okay. All right. So the info that we've been sharing over the last year on this topic, the hosted exchange. We've got some newsletter articles and video blogs that have been out on Microsoft Office 365 Exchange versus Microsoft 365. Servers and hosting, we've sent some tips out. We've done quite a bit on the multi-factor authentication, also known as MFA. Teams, remote meeting software, kind of reset the bar on a lot of the hype on 365 and quite a few other articles and video blogs. Some of these newsletter articles have been in our newsletter to you. Others have been posted in other publications. TUG, which is the user group for Sage 100 contractor users, the Business Ledger, which is a printed newspaper in the Chicagoland area, CFMA blogs, ASA presentation information, things like that. So we've also done some webinars. Back in October, we did our 365 tour. Many of these, not all, were recorded, and Beth can absolutely get you the link. Some are not public, but we can give you the link and you can go ahead and listen to them. The Azure hosting, I had that up just the other day because I was sending that out to someone. Teams 101, ditch the old server. Most of you are hosted platforms, so that wouldn't necessarily apply to you. And then today's webinar. Also, Beth has done a nice job right from our website. She's got Cowboy Gus up there. And if you click on him from our landing page in the sliders, she's got a nice list of our resources. You can click on any of those. It'll drill right down to the items themselves. So that's all up there on our website. So here's a short history lesson. Windows Small Business Server. So many of you will remember this. The Small Business Server was affordable. It was an all-in-one operating system designed to manage business applications. For many of you, that's Sage 100 Contractor as an example. It took care of email, provided internet access. Later on, internet access was moved to the firewall. It was first released in 2000, and it was groundbreaking. There was nothing like that out there before this Small Business Server for businesses like yours. And it was an affordable way to begin logging into a true domain. And it used Exchange for the email, and it was an all-in-one server. And the great news with Small Business Server is it didn't crash all the time, because prior to that, Windows 98 was absolutely well known for crashing. So this was stability. This was an opportunity for our offices. So then Small Business Server 2003 came out. 2000 was full of quirks. It was difficult to manage. It did open up the idea of needing an update. So SBS 2003 came out shortly thereafter. It opened up remote access for webmail. That was groundbreaking at the time. Opportunity to connect from anywhere to your email, also groundbreaking at the time. And many of our clients chose this solution. In this particular year, most servers were still physical. So this allowed you to have everything on one physical server that would be in your office, so it's more cost effective. So then 2011, Small Business Server released its final version of Small Business. 2008 was nice, but believe it or not, when I was putting this together, they called it historians. I don't know about you, but 2008 wasn't all that long ago. The upgrade was difficult. It was time consuming. There were a lot of errors. and there really weren't many features. So SBS 2011, we were way happier with. It introduced the idea of being a true domain controller, which was great for your local networks. It was still an exchange, was still built into it, but it still meant that everything was in one place. So if that server went down, absolutely everything went down. Sage went down, your email went down, being able to log in to your network and get out to the internet down. Everything was down if this one server went down. So then it was retired. So the only thing they did after that was they would do security updates. So of course we would patch any of your servers with that. And the whole goal here was Microsoft was moving to this idea of Exchange being on its own server, which right now is best practice. It really shouldn't be on the primary data server, and it definitely should not be on the domain controller. So that meant you would have to have 2 physical servers, 2 operating systems for Windows, and also the Exchange license, the CALs, all of that. And of course, you had to back up both servers. And for many of you, you only had 1 physical server, so it meant buying another box, or we were just starting to get into virtualization. You could buy a large host and put 2 virtual servers. But anyway you cut it, it was a significant investment in software and hardware. So when they announced that this was the direction where they were going, we put our plan together and we came up with Syscon Hosted Exchange somewhere around 2012. From everything I can tell, we did it kind of in late fall that year, mid-fall. So smaller offices with no dedicated server, and we did have several like that at the time, could host their email in our multi-tenant environment. It was fully licensed, fully backed up. We would take care of everything. Clients who had servers that were aging out, getting older, they could move their Exchange email to our shared multi-tenant environment as well. And that way they could keep that 1 server model for their Sage 100 contractor and their data shares. And they didn't have to deal with that second one. So you totally avoided the expense of having the 2 operating systems and buying all the Exchange software. And of course, in the multi-tenant environment, we took care of backing up. While we were making that plan, Microsoft had their own plan. So they were very, very involved with Office 365. Believe it or not, that was launched in 2001. That's 20 years ago. So Office 365 was envisioned as a cloud-based subscription model by Microsoft, and the whole point was to get Microsoft Office moved to a subscription model 20 years ago. 10 years after that, Microsoft announced Microsoft Office 365, a little bit of a name change here. And what they were bringing together is this idea of Office, so Excel, Word, the things you use every day, SharePoint Online, which is a little different than the SharePoint they have now, Exchange Online, and they introduced this in 2011 to 40 different markets. So the whole focus at that moment in time, 10 years ago, was instant messaging, virtual meetings, sharing files and documents, and sharing calendars. But at that time, while Microsoft was putting this plan together and we were putting our multi-tenant hosted Exchange together, it was not ready for prime time. We would not move to it. We did not recommend it for our clients. It just was not ready to be tested and rolled out. So we continue to offer the hosted Exchange and help you guys with either moving to hosting for your Sage 100 contractor or get you what you needed for your on-premise server. So why now? What changed? Why are we having this conversation today? So in the fall of 2019, so a year and a half ago, the mandatory upgrade of our hosted Exchange, we had to upgrade the operating system and our version of Exchange, was extremely painful. And a few of you on the call were interrupted in November of 2019 by this upgrade. And for that, we still apologize and we are just so distressed that it went so badly. Unfortunately, we don't see that future upgrades are going to be much better. Microsoft has redirected all of their R&D efforts to the 365 products. So they are not investing in the Exchange operating system. They're not investing in the Exchange software that we're using to run our hosted environment for Exchange. They are focused on 365. All new features, integrations, They all are focused on the subscription product of Microsoft Office 365. And Microsoft is making it more difficult and expensive. Now, this is true for all of you, not just us, to buy Office outright. So to buy Office, which is Word, Excel, that whole suite, they're making it more and more difficult to just purchase it like we're used to in the past. It includes Microsoft Project that several of you have bought in recent years. Support for those purchased products is ending, especially for Project. They want you to be on the subscription model. So if you have Microsoft Project, you will, in order to get upgrades and support, you will have to move to the subscription model, even if you bought that 4 or 5 years ago. We believe that this will continue to be more and more difficult, and we are finding it harder and harder to buy boxes of Office for our clients. But we did have a plan when all of this hit. We already had on our roadmap to move Syscon to Microsoft 365 once we saw where the R&D was going, to move our Outlook to 365, to roll out OneDrive, to roll out SharePoint, Teams, all of that. We already had a plan to roll that out, test it, refine it, get documents together, and be ready to help you guys move to it. And just as we were doing that, the pandemic hit. Right time, right place. The whole world, literally the entire world, had to move to a remote format overnight. So Microsoft's 19 years worth of effort was about to go viral. These should look familiar. These are the business apps I was talking about a moment ago: Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, Publisher, Outlook. Outlook is what you launch to do your email. So I'm going to highlight that box. Cloud services. So this would be things that are in the Microsoft Cloud, Exchange in the cloud, SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. And again, I'm going to highlight Exchange. That is the cloud version of Outlook. And then maybe less familiar, but more and more important day by day is the business security thing. So quite a few products in this little section here. I'm not going to really address these very much right now. If you'd like to hear or know more about them, I would encourage you to take a look at the Microsoft 365 tour that we did in October. That's a recorded webinar. Happy to share that link with you. All right, so Beth has a little fun curtain thing here. All right, Microsoft apps. So Excel, Word, Publisher, Outlook, that's the one we're going to talk about here. Few highlights. So these are straight out of Chris's presentation last fall. In the Microsoft Apps subscription service, there are continuous updates. They are adding new features regularly. Some of you may or may not like that, but that's what's happening. You can install this license on up to 5 computers per user. So you can't buy it and go put on 5 people's devices. You can buy it and put it on your workstation in the office, the laptop that you bring home, the tablet you keep in your truck, up to 5 devices. It is deeply integrated with OneDrive and SharePoint, and I would add Teams, so you can get at these documents, you can get at your calendar, you can get at your email with deep integrations across all of these. There is a web version, and we used to hate the web version. It's actually quite nice now. The search features are really awesome. Chris can't say enough about those. And certain versions can be used on shared computers. And what he means by this is certain license levels. So there are different license levels, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And no more buying the boxes of Office. These would be subscription-based. You buy 5 new computers for 5 new people. Each of those people will have a subscription. You don't need to go buy several $100s worth of Office licenses for 5 people. You simply turn on the subscription for those 5 people. If you have PMs that the project is over and they're no longer on your team, you turn them off. You're not sitting there with 5 boxes of Office sitting on your shelf because you don't need them, and what are you going to do? This would be a subscription. You turn it on, you turn it off. Okay, the other icon was Exchange Online, which basically is the email online. So this would be Exchange email hosted by Microsoft. It is all of the things you're used to seeing when you launch Outlook on your local machine. It's very easy to log in. Anti-spam is included. There's email archiving. And it doesn't only just stay on your local computer, which is one of the problems now, not backed up. It actually is in the email archiving online, so you can get at it. There are shared mailboxes, and this is kind of cool for several of you. Under our current model, under Exchange, if you have a shared mailbox, that's a license that we have to provide. Under the Microsoft 365 subscription, if you have a shared mailbox, you do not need to pay for a license for that one. So that's pretty cool, and it can still be backed up, so you can save a little money there. There is message encryption available. You do need to be at a certain license level to have it, but it is available. And advanced threat protection, also called ATP. Again, you have to be at a certain license level, but that is available now as well. All right. So if you're moving from Syscon hosted Exchange to Microsoft 365, and I probably shouldn't have said if, I should have said when, how will this work? First of all, we're getting on a call with you, and we're going to review your hosted email addresses. So we'll pull up the list, we'll get on a call with you. We've got a couple columns of information we're going to gather. Which ones of these are shared mailbox? And I don't mean Susie logs in as info at. I mean Susie has her email box, Joe has his email box, and you have a shared box that both of them can see, but no one's logging in under that shared. This is a truly shared mailbox. Which ones have history that needs to be migrated? So you may have some email addresses, sales at, info at. You don't really need the historical information. You need the mailbox, but you don't need the historical information. So we won't bother migrating that. Others, like mine, I migrated my entire mailbox over from our Exchange to Microsoft 365. I have a lot of history. They were very unhappy with the size of my mailbox, but the guys helped me out. I got everything migrated over there. I needed that history. The other thing we're going to talk about in this call is what license levels you need, and basic, standard, and premium. And yes, you can read that as basic is less expensive, standard is a little more expensive, and premium is the most expensive of these three business packages. Obviously, we'd love to give everybody basic, but that's not going to cut it. Standard includes that Office suite, and premium includes the Office suite plus access to the hosted server so that you can log into Sage 100 Contractor. So some people will need to be at the premium level in order to use Sage 100 Contractor in your hosted environment, or if they're working remotely and you have an on-premise server. So we will go through that with you on the call. The techs are there to answer your questions and figure that out. And the last thing they're going to check is if any mailboxes are near the 50 gig limit. If they are, they're prepared to make a couple of suggestions for you, and we'll get that dialed in. We want to know that before we begin this process. Okay. Item number 2 then. So after we had that phone call, we're going to pick a cutover date to go live. There are a couple things about picking this date. I'm going to go ahead and put my camera on for this. So when we're picking the date, it will be a combination of things. First of all, we'll know at this moment in time, after we've done this phone call with you, about how long the migration is going to take. It has to do with the size of the mailboxes and a couple of things like that. So we'll be able to know how many days that's going to take. Then we're going to be talking with you about, do you have a lot of people on vacation right at that moment? Or do you have a big project that's coming up and we want to be sure to do it right after that? Something like that. So we'll work out a date when we're going to cut over live from the hosted Exchange that you have now to Microsoft 365. Don't worry, there's more. Number 3. Once we pick that date, all your users will receive a welcome email with instructions to sign into their new Microsoft 365 account and create a password. In the meantime, while they're doing that, and they'll get little pop-up reminders until they do it, in the meantime, everyone's going to keep using email. There is no downtime. All of this migration stuff for any boxes that were chosen to be migrated will happen in the background. For any that aren't being migrated, still need to sign in, sign up, get that account set up, and create a password, but there's no migrating going on. There's no downtime here. This happens in the background. While my box was being migrated, I got the messages but I did not experience anything going on one way or another with my email, either while I was using it or speed or anything else. I did not have any other experience, and I checked in pretty regularly with the text to make sure everything was on target. You don't have to do that, we'll do that, but I was testing. So, all right, continuing on, there's a couple of other things that we want to share with you. So on the go live day, the cell phones will need to be updated, and we will help you with that. Those cell phones are going to need an update. We'll let everyone know that ahead of time. We'll be counting on you to help disseminate the information that we'll be sharing with you. We've got PDFs, we've got things you can share, or you can get them on a phone call with us, whatever is best for your team. Second one, some of the computers will need an upgrade of their Office version. If any of your computers are running Office 2013 or older, that needs to be updated, preferably before the day we cut over. We need to get a current version on there. 2013 is no longer supported, it's end of life, they're only providing patches, and it is not compatible with Microsoft 365. So we'll need to get that taken care of. Anyone logging into the Syscon's hosted server environment, so if you host Sage 100 Contractor with us, or I think one of you isn't using Sage, you're using QuickBooks, but you have hosted QuickBooks with us and you have your shares, your data up there, anyone who's logging into that environment will need a premium level license. And then we're taking care of the third-party backups for all of these emails. So right now, under the hosted exchange you have with us, everything's fully backed up. We take care of that. That's built in. Similarly, when you move to Microsoft 365 and we pick which level that you need, those backups have been arranged there as well. So you'll be completely backed up. Let's see what else I got going on here. And then, does this mean, this is the question I always get, does this mean I have to call Microsoft every time I have something? No. Doesn't. What you're going to do to get support, set up a new user, end a user, share a mailbox, whatever it is you need, you're still going to reach out to us. You know, we answer our phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can send an email to customer support at syscon-inc.com. We'll respond within 30 minutes and let you know when we can have things done. So anything you need about email, what you do and what your staff does to get help or get things set up, none of that changes. You're just going to still come to us. We'll make all those things happen. We are what's referred to as a CSP. So under Microsoft, we're a certified solution provider, and we'll handle all of this stuff for you. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off now. So why are we sharing all this? We're doing a lights out on the Syscon hosted exchange, and that's why we named this Rest in Peace, RIP. December 15th, 2021, the Syscon hosted exchange server will be lights out. We will be turning it off. We were up against a couple of deadlines. Some of them are Microsoft specific with regard to the operating system, upgrades, security. We just cannot go through another upgrade, and they've made it extremely difficult, and we just can't risk bringing you down or interrupting your email that you need to run your business. So we need to move off of the hosted exchange, and our target here is December 15th so that we have adequate time to have this all moved over, everybody's solid, working, up and running well before any Microsoft deadlines. So I do have one other thing I wanted to share with you and get it on your mind. This would be a phase 2. This is after you've moved your email. We strongly recommend adding multi-factor authentication, referred to as MFA or 2FA, to your Microsoft 365 account. This would be a phase 2 process. It's after we've migrated your email. There is a separate fee to set this up. It cannot be done at the same time as migrating. There are some guidelines about turning this on that cannot happen until you're actually moved over to the 365 email. We have seen a rash of, and I'm sure you have too, and I'm sure you've seen it in our newsletters and all, just phishing attempts, security attempts, tricking people into giving credentials and such. They've just gotten so good at making these things look legit. Please continue to bring questions or anything that seems not legit, please bring it to our office. Let us take a look before you click on anything. Multi-factor authentication, according to our research, according to Microsoft, adding this 1 second layer of proving you are who you say you are greatly reduces the risk of your 365 license being compromised. It is a simple step. Setting it up is something that takes a little configuration. That's why it's a phase 2 kind of a thing. The techs take care of it. There is a step that all the users have to do. You put an authentication app on your cell phone. When you log in to 365 to your cell phone, it'll say, hey, someone is logging in. Do you approve it or deny? You say approve, and basically you've got another verification that you are who you say you are. So let's just say that someone in your organization accidentally clicked on that link in a spam phishing and you gave up the password. It's out there for sale, and if someone's got your username and password, they can log in your 365 account. And we have clients in Rhode Island who just went through this, and another one in Massachusetts who just went through this. Their passwords are compromised. Someone in the organization clicked, passwords are out there, and someone else logged in using their credentials. They did not have MFA set up. We had recommended it. They weren't ready to go with that. Had the MFA been set up, they would have gotten a message that says someone's logging into your account, approve or deny. They could have said deny. We would have then gone on, made sure all sessions were closed. They could change their password. So you can't control necessarily if your credentials got out there. Maybe you didn't accidentally click on something, but maybe Eventbrite, you use them all the time, and your credentials were compromised. Maybe Dropbox was compromised. I've got a whole list of companies that we all do business with who have had their data hacked, and credentials, usernames, passwords, home addresses, things like that have been made available or stolen. I'm going to say stolen, and they're about you. So you can't always control it, even if you're as careful as can be, but having multi-factor authentication allows that second opportunity that you have to prove who you say you are when you log on, not just the password, and you can hit deny if you're not sure at all, and then just give us our office a call and we can help you. It is so important that we actually want to incentivize you to do this. It is a separate project. It would be after you go live with your email migration, and to encourage you to do that, we're going to give you a voucher, one-time voucher at $25 per user to be used against your MFA setup fee, not to exceed the cost of the fee. So if you have 3 people and you're willing to set up the MFA after you've been migrated over, we would give you $75 towards the MFA setup up to the cost of the setup. So that's how important it is, and that's how much we believe you really need to have it. We have quite a bit of documents on our website. We have a nice little PDF that we can send you if you want to know more about MFA. Also refer back to our other newsletters. Let's see where we are. So you might recognize this. This is the ladder that Chris had put together about rolling out Microsoft 365 in the first place. There are quite a few opportunities in here. What we're talking about here is moving the email over. At this level, you can add Teams. You can consider rolling out OneDrive. SharePoint takes a little bit of planning and such. And throughout this whole process, we're asking you to continue to train your staff, communicate with them. We'll provide you some communications you can forward. We're happy to get on a web call with your team if that would be helpful, but continue to educate them what to expect. Some of the most common things we've had as we've been moving people to this is people are not following those invitations to set up their username and password. And I'm here to tell you that the worst culprits on that are the owners. So you guys set the example, let people know that you're doing it, help us out here. So this is the process. These are other things that you can do once you've been introduced to Microsoft 365. You can stop at just the email. You could incorporate Teams if you wanted. You could look at OneDrive. We could talk about SharePoint. Lots of opportunities here where you can simply stop where you are. Another feature of these packages that quite a few construction companies, and especially our Sage 100 contractor users, are taking advantage of is Power BI, which is a dashboard that integrates information into a nice dashboard. You can design what is part of that information, and that is part of this Microsoft suite, similar to Microsoft Project. This is called Power BI. There are a number of things like that. So with that, I would like to go ahead and open this up to questions. So Beth, if you would open that up and let me know if we have some questions, and I'd be happy to dive in and give some responses.
All right, I do have a question that somebody asked when we were talking about having them join the webinar in the first place, while we're still waiting for people to populate questions in that question box, or you can type them in the chat if you prefer. And that question is, how will this migration impact sending emails from Sage?
Good question. So what will happen is after we've got you moved over, if you're sending emails through Sage, there's a couple places that that's configured. One is within Sage itself, and whether it's sending email where you're making a PDF as an attachment, or if you're talking about an email of direct deposit vouchers, there are some configuration changes in Sage that will happen as well, and that's part of our Go Live Day, where we would go ahead and make those changes so that you have the configurations you need, and it's pointing to the Microsoft 365 email account. I would add to that we would also be using, be moving the anti-spam. You know what, I should have put this in the slide. All right, I forgot all about this because I'm not using the hosted exchange anymore. Here's another really great thing that I'm loving now that we're in 365. There's no third-party anti-spam that I have to log into another portal to go review anything that's hit my spam folder and release it or not. It's all done within my Outlook. So I don't have to log into that AppRiver portal. Used to be Roaring Penguin, for those of you who've been with us for a while. We moved to AppRiver when Roaring Penguin was discontinued. No more AppRiver portal. You do it right in your Outlook. In fact, if you want to mark somebody as junk with their email in front of you, you right-click, you go down to junk, and you say block sender. If you want somebody to be sure that they always get through, you right-click, go down to junk, and say never block. So you can do that yourself right there within Outlook. There's no need to log into a separate portal. There's no need to send an email in to us asking us to whitelist somebody. You can do it right then and there while you're in your own Outlook. And for us, that has been nice. I personally didn't care to go to the separate portal. I just didn't want one more place to go. I loved that we had the anti-spam. I love the protection of it. But with this change, I don't have to go to that portal anymore. So that will also change how you deal with the anti-spam, look at your junk mail, block something, or mark something as never block. What else you got, Beth?
Well, I'm not seeing any questions populating in the question box.
I guess that's because I covered everything.
I guess so.
So, okay, so what's next? So we need to hear from you, and if we don't hear from you, I'll be reaching out to you. We would like to set up that call to begin that first process of going through that list. There may be some mailboxes you don't need anymore. There may be some shared mailboxes on there. There may be some that are quite large. We need to plan for, let's see what you've got. Let's look through that, figure out what kind of access those people need. And then with that plan in place, we can take those next steps that I had on that slide. Reach out, you can reach out to customer support at syscon-inc.com. You can call the office and schedule that time with one of the techs to go through it. You can let me know and I'll forward that information over, or give the office a call. In the meantime, I would also just mention we have 2 upcoming webinars. If you are still using paper timesheets, or you're using a different field time collection software that is not fully integrated with Sage, we will be offering that how to get field time that is fully integrated with Sage 100 Contractor in September on the 16th. And 2 weeks after that, we will have another Microsoft 365 webinar on a similar topic within this offering, so you can watch for the topic, and that again will be at the end of September. So if that's it, then I will thank each and every one of you for taking a little bit of time. I did go like 5 minutes over for the Q&A. Thank you for being patient. Appreciate it. We are excited to help you make this move. We did it ourselves first. We've got quite a few people already in this product and quite a few that have already moved from our hosted exchange. We're here and ready to walk you through this. It is a process. It is a change, and part of my giving you the history is none of this ever stays still. This is the nature of technology, the expectations of you, your people, how they use their devices, on-demand availability, hosted information, logging into remote servers, remote devices. All of this has changed so much in the last 10 years since we kicked this off. It will continue to change, and that's not bad, but it is a change. No one likes change. But we all like the new features. We all like that we can pick up our phone and have our email and our calendar and send a quick text message. These changes require different technology, different supporting systems, different software, different physical hardware, and we need to move with those so that we can meet your requests and your demands in order to run your company and stay connected with your people. And we are offering that to you, and we're not doing bleeding edge where we don't even know if it'll work. This is tried and true. We've done it ourselves, and we're ready to share it with you. So with that, again, just thank you so much for your time. I'm available. Just send me an email or feel free to call the office, and we'll get you on with the tech and we can get things started. We will be anxious to get these going soon so that you are not under the gun, you're not rushed. We can do a good job and you can communicate with your staff. And we'd actually like to hear from you in the next 30 days or so and start looking at some times and get you scheduled. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.